Thanks everybody for joining us this afternoon. This is a slightly different program to what was originally advertised, I believe. We initially been asked by Sandra to present some information about our HR resources. One particular program that we have at the Pork Board here. I'm actually changing it a little bit, and I'll explain a little bit later why that is. So just please bear with me. I know this program will still be of interest to you. But I just wanted to let you know, heads up, you may think you've jumped onto the wrong program, but I promise you haven't. Just stick with it and it will all be good. So my name is Karen Hoare. I'm the Director of Producer Learning here at the National Pork Board in Des Moines. My background, just very briefly, is that I have a production background, worked for 3 different production companies in both production in-farm, farm manager roles, and I also worked in recruiting and training and education areas as well. So that's my background before I came to the Pork Board. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is our certification and education programs that we provide and that we feel are very important, and we're trying to promote. So 2 different programs, the certification program and the professional swine manager program. So as I start to talk about these programs, I'd like you to think about these questions. And I'm not expecting you to actually type in answers or respond, but I just think there's some things that we think that you ought to be thinking about and tie in nicely to these programs. So think about, where is your future production leadership coming from? Where are your future farm managers going to come from? Are you recruiting from colleges? Are you recruiting family members? Who are you looking for to replace current farm management? Do you think you need a 4-year degree to be a farm manager? Most production companies seem to, look for that farm manager with the degree background, the traditional academic background, and recruit at 4-year colleges. But do we really need to do that? What does succession planning look like in your organization? Do you have a plan for who is going to take the next role? So if somebody leaves or if somebody retires, who is going to take that role? Who is going to replace them? Who is going to step up? And then who is going to take their job if you're promoting from within the organization? And then finally, what is the cost of turnover in your organization at the farm production management level? We have to think about not only the cost of recruiting and advertising, but what about training and bringing people in and all those indirect costs that we often don't think about? It can be surprisingly high, the cost of turnover. So I suggest you just think about those questions as we work through this presentation this afternoon. So at the Pork Board, we have 2 programs, and they're often confused, which is why I'm going to start off by giving a comparison of these 2 programs. We have the Certified Swine Manager Certification Program, and we have the Professional Swine Manager Education Program. Now, they were done before I got here, so I didn't name them, so I'm not going to take responsibility for that. But it does create some confusion because some of the names are very similar. So the Certified Swine Manager Program is a certification program. You get a certificate, you do an exam, and you do a skills assessment. It's a recognized certificate. We went through a certification company to create the program and make it a recognized program. And it is managed by the National Pork Board in its entirety. The other program, the Professional Swine Manager Education Program, is just that. It is an education program. It does prepare a candidate to take the certification exam and skills assessment. At the end of the day, the professional swine manager will just get a certificate of completion. Now, it's done at a community college or through a community college, and at the end of that, they get a complete certificate of completion and potentially some credits if they decide to take that route. That program is managed by the USPCE, the US Pork Center of Excellence, and the National Pork Board combined. So they're slightly different programs. The Certified Swine Manager is directed, or the audience for that is the current production worker. Now, to take the exam and the skills assessment, we don't require, but we recommend that a candidate has at least a year's experience on the hog farm before they take that exam. They just don't have the knowledge or the skills to be able to really do that before that time. Now, the exam is actually done online. A supervisor from your same organization will proctor the exam. It's done over 3 hours, and I say online. And then there is an in-barn assessment, which the supervisor will then look at the skills that the candidate has done, the practical skills of managing a farm, and assesses the candidate, and then they get the certification once they have passed both those parts. The professional swine manager is aimed at a few different audiences. So it's also aimed at the community college student. A community college student can go and do the class in person or at South Central Community College in Mankato in Minnesota, or they can do it online. It's also aimed at the current production worker who maybe doesn't have that academic background, wants to create some more learning for themselves, wants to get some evidence, and wants to be able to take the Certified Swine Manager exam. So they can do it again. They can do it in class if they're close to Mankato, or they can do it as distance learning online. And it's a very interactive class. It's like sitting in a virtual classroom. So it's not something you can do at any time of day. It's something you have to join in the class, participate, interact with the class. So those are the two programs, and I'll talk a little bit more, particularly about the Certified Swine Manager program. So there are two parts, two pathways. There is either the reproduction, which is the sow farm management pathway, or there's the wean to finish pathway. And each of those has two pieces. Like I said, the examination and the skills assessment. The exam is 150 multiple choice questions. Now, there are slightly different pass rates for each of those, depending on which pathway you take. The wean to finish has a 71.3% pass rate, which is 107 correct answers out of the 150. And the sow farm or reproduction pathway has a 73.3% pass rate, which is 110 correct out of 150. And those numbers may seem a bit odd, but the way we put this together, we actually had production managers, production people come together with a certification company and actually take the exam, look at the exam, and really assess what they thought the pass rate should be for each of the questions, how many people would pass each of the questions. So that's where that pass rate came from. It is proctored by the supervisor. So when the candidate applies to do the exam, they provide the name of their supervisor, and that supervisor then monitors gets a key code, enables them to access the exam and proctor the exam, which is a closed book 3-hour exam. And it is not easy. It's not a simple guess exam. Even coming from a production background, and I have written some of the questions, but not all of them, it is quite challenging, and we have had a fairly interesting pass rate, let's put it that way. It's, not everybody passes first time. You can retake it if you don't pass, but it's certainly not simple. And again, that's why we recommend that people have the at least a year's experience and some sort of training before they jump in to take the exam. Once they pass the exam, they are then able to do the skills assessment. This again is assessed by the supervisor. Each of the 61 competencies is assessed by the supervisor and scored a score of 0 to 3, and they have to get an 85% pass rate to continue to get the certification. Now, this skills assessment includes all sorts of things. So it includes things like disciplinary action for employees, or breeding sows, or all the things that a farm manager may come across and may be exposed to. So here's a list of the competencies and the topic areas for each of the exams. So depending on which pathway you take, you either do the sow farm or the wean to finish management. Then it also includes record systems, animal handling and welfare, human relations, which is HR management, general production practices, which may be things that cover both areas, so things like manure management, environmental management. It also covers facility operations. That includes things like maintenance, managing air systems, ventilation systems, heating systems, that type of thing. And then there's the swine health and biosecurity topic. So in total, there are 61 competencies, but those 61 competencies are then also broken down into a number of skills. So reproduction has 229 skills, and Win to Finish has 190 skills. So again, it's not straightforward, it's not simple. It's that we've tried to set a standard, or producers have asked us to set a standard whereby we can compare people across the industry. So if an employee comes to you with a certified swine manager certification, you know they have reached a particular level, and you can be confident they can jump into the job, you know, with a little bit of tweaking perhaps for your own system, but they can jump into the job very competently and be comfortable. You can be comfortable that they have those skills. Once they have passed the exam, the candidate then can designate their certified status on a letterhead. So after their name, they can actually put CSMR or CSM Win to Finish, which is kind of a nice thing to be able to do. And they become designated as a certified swine manager. And of course, we will send them a certificate as well. So what is the cost? Currently, we don't have any cost to the certified swine manager exam. We will be in the future, but currently, to get things rolling, to get things moving, get some uptake, we're waiving the fee right now. So instead of it being about $120, it's completely free right now. So what's in it for me? So as a producer, why would I want my employees to take this exam? There's lots of good reasons. We want to increase the knowledge of current employees. It creates further to existing training programs. So if you already have a training program, and a lot of companies have manager trainee programs, they can use this to actually assess the employee and set a standard. It could be a selling point to processes. You could perhaps use it in employment decisions or promotion decisions. If you have two candidates, one with and one without, you know you can be confident that the candidate with the certification has reached a certain level. There's a professional development opportunity. Employees want to be able to grow and expand their knowledge and develop, and there's an opportunity to do that with this program. It creates leadership in the barn. It doesn't just talk about the technical side, it doesn't just train on the technical side, it also trains in leadership and people management, conflict management, disciplinary action, performance management, that type of thing as well. So it's an extra to what perhaps you're training in the barn. And the most important thing I think it does, it demonstrates professionalism and commitment to doing what is right. And you can use that as a selling point. So what does it do for the employee? What is the value to the employee? Well, it recognizes their hog production knowledge. It actually shows that they've reached a particular level. It helps to improve their management skills, the level of competence, gives them the opportunity to perhaps increase their career and earnings opportunities. It gives them, again, professional development, leadership skills in the barn, and for them as well, demonstrates their commitment into doing what's right. Well, what's in it for us as an industry? This came from, originally the discussion about this program came from a summit a few years ago, probably 2011, 2012, when producers got together and said that they wanted something like this. We needed to do something. At that time we had a lot of issues with videos in the barns, and we wanted to be able to make sure people were doing the right thing, to be able to tell our story that we are doing the right thing and that we do have standards. And this is one of the ways that we can do that. So as an industry, it establishes that ethical code. It proves that we are doing the We Care program. The We Care ethical principles are being used in the barn every day. It ensures an industry self-regulation. We're monitoring ourselves. We're setting the standards, and we're making sure, and we're testing to those standards. It brings additional talent to the industry. It's another resource for those who don't have that traditional academic four-year degree background. And it increases consumer confidence in our industry. Like I said, we started this, part of the reason for starting this was to negate some of those videos, to stop some of those videos happening. Because if people are doing the right thing, it's less likely that they're going to be shown on the 6 o'clock news doing something incorrectly. So again, just demonstrating our commitment to doing what is right as an industry. So other industries have similar programs. Again, we talked a lot about this as we developed the program. When you see things like auto mechanics or HR managers even, or realtors, they all have standardized certification programs that set a professional standard for how they do their job. And there is absolutely no reason at all why we as the pork industry can't do the same thing. And we should be doing the same thing. We should be, you know, giving confidence to our consumers that we are doing the right thing every day. And also, as well as giving our employees the opportunity to grow and to improve our production as well at the end of the day. So how do I prepare for the certification? Like I said before, it's not an easy exam. It's not simple. We do suggest that year's experience. So part of that is some on-farm work. We have just recently developed a self-study guide. It's about to be launched, a self-study guide, or you can do the college professional swine manager program. So let me talk a little bit about the self-study guide. It's an alternative learning avenue for those people who don't want to sit in the classroom, who don't like that classroom environment, don't have that academic ability. It gives them the opportunity to learn at their own speed, learn in their own time. You know, it may not be convenient to sit in a class at 4 o'clock in the afternoon every Tuesday. So, you know, if they have the resources and can commit to doing it themselves, they have another opportunity. Again, this program right now is free. We will have to charge, unfortunately, we will have to charge in the future because we do have an outside organization hosting that right now. But right now it's going to be free initially. It does include a practice test. So someone can go ahead, go through the practice test and maybe not have to learn everything of the resources. They can just identify the areas where perhaps they're not as skilled as they thought they were, and they can then just focus on those areas and revise those areas and work on them. So currently it'll be hosted on Barn Vista, which is a third-party resource. And they're in the process of being uploaded right now. So any day now that will be ready to go live. The other option is the Professional Swine Manager Community College course. So at the moment we have this running full pelt, I guess, at South Central Community College in Mankato. But I said it is a distance learning class. We have just this year expanded it to Frank Phillips College in Borgia, Texas. The reason being, they're actually doing a slightly different program down there. They're actually doing high school at the moment, but they will be expanding that to offer it to community colleges as well. But they've got a slightly unique program in there where it's focusing on for high school students to be able to do that class too. So again, the courses within the Professional Swine Manager Education Program tie in with the exam topics. So again, you'd cover sow farm and wean to finish management, facility operations, production records, employee management, internship, and work experience is available for those who don't have any experience on the farm. So the community college students will be able to do that internship, and as are the high school students down in Texas. So this, again, like I said, this program is a distance learning classroom style. So we do have an instructor who is very well versed in the swine industry, both at South Central and at the college in Texas. It's available nationwide, so you don't have to be local. You can do it from anywhere, but you do have to jump on when those classes are live. There's a lot of interaction. You know, the instructor will ask questions of particular students and they expect a response. So it's not like a videoed or recorded program. If you do, you could qualify towards a credit towards an associate degree if that's the route you want to take. And there are the options to do either 2 topics per semester, depending on your time, or you could just do 1 and do it over 2 years. Lots of options in that one. And it does prepare you fully for that certified swine manager exam. So someone who completes this program should be able to take the exam and pass the exam, and hopefully have the skills assessment too. And my question, and I want you to think about this, and this is my question to you towards the end. So how can we help encourage enrollment? We get a lot of good feedback from producers that this is a great program, they're excited about it, they want their employees to go through it. But then when we leave the room, nothing happens. We struggle to get employees enrolled. So if you have any ideas or thoughts of how we can encourage enrollment in these classes or in the exam program, please let us know, because we really feel like this is an opportunity, and we really think it's a really good standard. And again, it's been developed by producers. We didn't develop it just internally here at the Pork Board. We had a lot of producers' input to create this program. So at this point, what I'd like to do is actually jump to some other National Pork Board resources, and then I'll open it up to questions and comments and smart remarks at the end. The first one I want to talk about briefly is our compensation and HR practices survey. So this was done at the end of last year. We actually originally did it in 2011, so this is an update to that resource. We had a lot of feedback from producers that they liked this information, they liked what was available here, and they like to know these numbers. So it's available now online as a flip book, or you can download it in a PDF version, and there's the link there if you want to make a note of that. But what we want to do is continue that message that compensation in the pork industry is competitive, both inside the industry. We're closely, no outliers out there are paying a huge amount of money and others are not. And then we are competitive outside the industry too. So similar industries are paying the same kind of amounts. We're paying a bit above the lowest pay rates. We're paying above minimum wage, and we're actually providing a lot of other benefits and resources as well. So please go ahead and take a look at that. I think you'll find some great information there. One thing that ties in nicely with that certification, our certification education programs, is that we looked at turnover too. So we look at some of the hardest positions to fill is that production worker role. And we have high turnover, sort of 75% turnovers in some of those positions. But when you look at the farm manager position, we only have like a 9% turnover. So, there's some interesting stories there and some interesting things we can think about. Perhaps we're pulling in manager trainees from four-year colleges who want to be managers, are capable of being managers, but they don't have the opportunity because the positions are not becoming open. So, some things to think about in that compensation. So it gives an interesting story about our industry. Some other tools that we have is the safety tools. We've done a lot with safety in this past year or so. The one that we launched just last year was the Employee Safety Toolkit. This is available just online. We don't have this available as a flash drive, just available online. But what it does, it provides the training for barn level workers in a number of different topics that are not related to animal handling. So things that OSHA would look for. So electrical safety, fire hazard safety, slip, trips and falls, that type of thing. But it gives you a quick resource. There's videos, there's PowerPoints, there's handouts, there's some skills tests that you can use, just some simple tools to help you with the safety training. And we all know we're in a very dangerous industry. So we do need to do some work on that. Now, animal handling, of course, is the biggest cause of injuries in our industry. So we've also developed the Safe Pig Handling Toolkit. And we've had a lot of good reviews on this one. Again, lots of video, PowerPoints, handouts, different training methods, excuse me, for different environments. Again, a very useful tool, especially for those employees who've never worked with animals before. It really introduces them to the hazards of working around animals and works on safe animal handling practices, and it touches, of course, on animal welfare as well, about the tools you should be using and the inappropriate tools, that type of thing. The third tool I've got listed here is the safety benchmarking tool. This is a little bit different. This is actually a database. Now we have been asked to, from a safety summit a few years ago, producers asked us to track some of our safety numbers in the industry. So what this does, this allows you as a producer to put in information that you might have on your OSHA 300 form, upload that to this database, and then compare yourself to the industry. So you may think, oh, I've only had 5 injuries this year. But when you upload that to the safety benchmarking database, you may discover that that's actually one of the worst in the industry for a farm, for an organization of your size. So it gives you a lot of information, and depending on how much information you put in, you can get a lot of detailed information back. And it allows you to track things even as far as, who was injured, or excuse me, how someone was injured, what part of their body was injured, where they were working, that type of thing. And then you can pull out graphs and compare that information and compare progress too as you go forward. This is Just so you know, this is totally confidential. This is held on a third-party website. We do not at the Port Board have any access to anybody's individual numbers. I have no idea who's actually using the program. I just know the numbers. I don't know, I mean, the total numbers. I don't know who is involved. I cannot have access to any individual data. So from a confidentiality perspective, please don't be concerned about that. It is totally independent from the Port Board in terms of access to that individual data. And it's not used anywhere else. And then finally, the other thing I wanted to talk about, this is what initially the program was going to be talking about today, was our employee care toolkit. Now this toolkit has been around for a few years now, and we are actually up in the process of updating it and changing it and moving it, which is why I didn't want to talk too much in detail about this today, because I didn't want to confuse you and didn't want you to look in the wrong place and find the resources weren't there. So what we love about this employee care toolkit is that there's a lot of resources here. There's a huge amount of information that was put together a few years ago now on all these 4 topics. So there's a starter kit, there's an on-the-job training kit, there's SOPs templates that you can adapt and change. And there are also even some video workshops on there for employee management, soft skills type training. So these tools are there. They are, again, hard to find. It's not the best, the easiest toolkit to navigate and find the resources that you need, which is one of the reasons we're changing where it is and how it's laid out. So we're changing it to calling it a part of our Barn Culture program. So this Barn Culture initiative, I guess, is something, again, that producers asked us for a couple of years ago, and we've done a lot of work on this, and including some discussion with some outside industry groups to see what they're doing about promoting professionalism. A few of us went to California a couple of years ago and spoke with dairy producers, other ag industries, citrus producers, almond producers, and talked about what they were doing in terms of inspiring professionalism or setting standards within their industries. So we pulled together a report. We also talked with producers in our industry, a number of different pork producers, and looked at what they were doing, pulled all that together, and then put together a package, I guess, of a number of different tools that includes some video testimonials. It'll include, again, that report, and it'll include some resources that we can use to help people, just make sure that their culture is what they expect it to be and what they want it to be, and that meets their We Care standards. So these are the tools that I literally just pulled this off the website today. These are the tools that are actually in the HR starter kit in the employee care toolkit currently. So a lot of these are a little bit out of date. So things like the I-9 form that's there are out of date. Some of the information is a little bit out of date. So in the process of updating that information, making sure everything is current, and then we'll recategorize it so it's actually easier to find what you're looking for and find the resources that you need. For example, if you're looking for a job application template, it may not be the easiest place to find it right now, but there's a lot of tools here. That's just part of them. That's the other part of them. There's a whole chunk. I actually printed all this lot out one time, and I have a 3-inch binder that has all that information in, but that's a lot of information there. But they're really good resources, really good templates that can be adapted to meet your own specific needs and meet your organization's needs to help you with this HR process, because it does get very complicated. So in conclusion then, what I wanted to, a little bit faster than I intended, but we have professionalism in our industry has never been more important. We have to think about that all the time. We have an opportunity to improve our confidence for our customers. We have a confidence for our people we're selling the product to. So professionalism is very important, and we need to be able to compare ourselves to other industries too. We need to be confident about what we do as pig producers, and be confident to talk about and show that we can do good things. Also, we invest in our employees. Promoting professionalism has a real payback for your operation. It actually does bring in more money. I mean, I didn't put up the numbers today, but we do have some numbers that show you if you invest in some money into your organization in terms of employee training and promoting professionalism, it brings back real dollar amounts. It does improve your bottom line. And then we are ready to help. So we do have the resources. We do have all these educational offerings. So don't forget about the We Care program, PQA Plus and TQA, but also these other resources that we have at the Pork Board. Again, including the Certified Swine Manager, the Professional Swine Manager education programs. I'm not going to say they're free because I know that you have paid your checkoff dollars, so that doesn't make them free, but they are free from now on. Once you've paid your checkoff dollars, those resources are available. At the moment, there is no other charge for those resources. So at that point, I'm going to ask you some questions then and open it up for questions from you. So if you have any thoughts, ideas, on how we can encourage professionalism, encourage enrollment in our programs, please let me know. And please, comments, questions, smart remarks.
Karen, a question for you I have is this offered only, the certification, is it offered only in English?
Currently, we have it only in English. Now, we're going to be working, we've had a lot of requests for it to be in Spanish. What we'll probably do is have the exam itself that's fairly easy to translate, and we'll be working on that in the next year or so to make that available. What's going to be harder is the training piece, getting that into Spanish. You know, we can work on it, but a lot of the resources for the training materials come from the Pork Information Gateway, which is, and fact sheets that have been around for quite a while, and they're quite wordy. And it's going to take quite a while and be quite expensive to actually translate that into Spanish. So that we're going to have to think about some different options to make this available. But we do see that as a need. I think initially we weren't concerned about that. I think there was some thought that, well, perhaps if people don't speak English, they're not going to be promotable, they're not going to progress. But I think that attitude is changing. I think, you know, people who are bilingual, perhaps more comfortable taking an exam in Spanish in their first language, even if they're confident in speaking in English. You know, I think there's still some value to that. So yeah, it's a good question and something we haven't got to yet, but we are working on and are aware of. So yeah, good question. Thanks, Sandra.
And one other one is, so these are all training programs and could be used into the Common Swine Industry Audit as your trainings to mark off on your SOPs, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, the Common Swine Industry Audit requires, you know, training and has documentation of training and that type of thing. So yeah, absolutely, these would meet those requirements, no doubt about it. Yeah, and I work very closely with Jamie, who, especially on the SOPs, so she's working on some SOP resources now for the Common Swine Industry Audit, and I've been very closely working with her on those. And eventually we hope to be able to, these templates that I just showed you, we hope that we'll be able to put them in the same type of format as Jamie is working on right now for the Common Swine Industry Audit. It just takes a little bit of time, unfortunately, and money, unfortunately.
Well, it's good to know that everyone's checkoff dollars are going to good use and things that they can bring back to the farm and use, hopefully, in their barn.
Yeah, and that, again, that's a good point, and that's very important to us. We want to make sure these programs are what the industry is looking for. You know, it is industry money, producer money that we're spending, so we want to make sure that we are using it the right way and providing the resources that are useful to people. So, you know, we're very open to hearing any comments or thoughts at any time. You know, if we're missing the mark, or if there's something different that we should be doing that can help producers, then we want to know about it. You know, we're very open to hearing that and working accordingly. For example, the Spanish resources, I mean, you know, we'll get there. Yeah.
Wonderful. And Karen said she's found this to be a good program, and there's a lot of great information on this through this webinar, and it's good to know what resources there are out there.
Good. Yeah, and again, don't hesitate to contact me through Sandra if you need to, and if you need any other more details or you're looking for something specific, please don't hesitate to contact us.
Karen, I'd like to add, I guess I'd just like to add any producers that see this and want to contact your regional manager in the area, we're certainly available. Stephen Herring out on the East Coast, and John Hines in the Northeast, and myself, Robin Christine here in the Midwest, are available to work with one-on-one or or in small groups with any of the resources that we have at the National Pork Board.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. That's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of resources out there. A lot of these guys are very, very helpful. And I just would add that with the Certified Swine Manager certification program, as we're trying to get this rolling and get this off the ground a little bit more and promote it, if someone is interested and wants a one-on-one, some help with some training or some, one-on-one support with getting somebody through a program, at this point, we're very open to doing that. Just reach out to us and let us know what you need, just again, to get the ball rolling and to get people started. We're not going to be able to do that forever, but certainly at this stage, we're very, very open to that option.
So thank you, Karen, again, for sharing all these wonderful resources with us and the opportunity to kind of discuss these. And thank you again, Karen, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day,